Well, if you've been living under a rock, you might not know that today is indeed Budget Day. Finance Minister Tito Mboweni will deliver his maiden budget speech this afternoon. Many South Africans are hoping for a reprieve after a tough few months. Now, our budget team is already out and about across the country and indeed at Parliament to bring us comprehensive coverage. Let's go to Parliament now, where Annika Larsen is standing by for us. Now, Annika, I've been watching your crossings closely, speaking to all the experts that know far more than we do on this very important topic. I get the sense that we're expecting Tito Mboweni to do the budgetary equivalent of walking on water this afternoon.
Absolutely, and I just don't think he's going to manage to make everyone happy, despite it being a pre-election budget. And I think possibly there'll be no open talk of privatisation, retrenchments, or even that dreaded word that we're hearing from the unions, unbundling. But I do have Rifta Ajam from Fedusa with me, and you'll be able to speak to me more about that. I mean, a real concern from the unions and the President saying last week that earnest talks and consultations were being done with NUM, with other unions about the fact that they're going to try not to do retrenchments en masse. How are you feeling ahead of today's budget?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Yes, it's absolutely one of those issues that are uppermost in the minds of all the unions, of all the federations. And as we believe that Minister Mboweni makes his maiden budget speech today, we believe that a number of the focal areas will be on the state-owned enterprises, in particularly Eskom. But at this point in time, we want to caution the Minister in regards to the fact that as much as allusions have been made to privatisation, etc., we feel that the Minister should steer clear in all aspects with regards to any form of retrenchments, because this flies completely stark into the face of the Presidential Job Summit that had specifically underpinned those areas that retrenchments will not be on the cards. And at the same time, as Fedusa, we believe that workers should not be held responsible nor accountable or to be used as scapegoats in light of the current situation. So our position on the matter is currently that there should be extensive consultations on the matter in order to address and allay these fears currently in play in the domain.
Mr. Jam, just looking at Eskom, 2009 there were 30,000 employees, 2019 there are 47,000 employees. What does the Minister do with so many extra, you've got to cut and trim the fat, and a bloated public service? What would your suggestion be?
Well, at this point in time, we need a clear, level-headed decision to be taken, a decision that encompasses inclusive discussions on the matter, because as much as the fact that you allude to there has been a decline, and you also mentioned the fact that we're looking at a bloated public service, unfortunately, neither unions nor workers can be held accountable for the negative effects of both corruption, maladministration, and a number of raft of activities that have been taken place. What we are calling for here is ethical leadership, responsible leadership in order to take the matter forward, because at the end of the day, it is a collective decision. We need Eskom as much as we need to drive economic growth on this matter, so it should be an inclusive decision in order to strategize and map the way forward.
The President did say in his State of the Nation reply that there had to be far more inclusivity with regards to organised labour. Talks have been held over the past few days with the unions. How have those talks been going as far as Fedusa is concerned, and what happens if you're not satisfied ahead of the May elections?
Well, unfortunately, this budget speech is underpinned by the fact that it is an election year, and as much as there will be promises on the table, we need to ensure that we stick to the plan of action, because we need inclusive economic growth. Yes, the latest data that had been released just last week showed a marginal drop in the unemployment figures, but this process with regards to not only Eskom but all the state-owned enterprises requires responsible leadership at the end of the day, because ultimately the decisions that have been taken by the boards that have been responsible for the strategic vision has unfortunately not come to reality. So workers once again cannot be held responsible nor be used as scapegoats for the irresponsible decision making that has been taken at the top leadership.
Or what happens?
Well, unfortunately, I don't want to put the cart before the horse now. As Labour, as organised Labour, we will take a collective decision on the matter, and ultimately that will be communicated to the media, either via our platforms at NEDLAC, but it will most certainly be communicated. But to anticipate a response at this point in time would be absolutely premature.
Diplomatically answered. Rifta Ajam from Fidusa, thank you so much for joining us. And there you heard it, Fidusa, Mr. Ajam saying that they're calling for ethical leadership. And why should the workers be paying the price for years of state capture? Why should they be the victims, really, of the fallout that we're seeing now? But I suppose the question that the Finance Minister has to ask himself and has to ask Cabinet is, what are the alternatives, Marcel?
Thanks for that update, Annika Larsen, coming to us live from Parliament. We'll hear more from her as we edge ever closer to that speech, which is scheduled to start at 2 o'clock.